What are the conditions of Lago Strobel that make these fish grow so tremendously?
Well, I think that there are many things that come together to make it a very special for this size of fish. So I think that between the water being very pure, also having a high pH, so it's a little alkaline, makes plus the wind, which has a lot of oxygen in the water, makes for a really perfect habitat for different crustaceans that inhabit the Strobel Lake. So with that plus the altitude, the temperature, really make it just perfect for the fish to live in a place where they have such a large quantity of food available 24/7.
So what are the sources of food generally? What do these fish rely on?
By far the main food source by far are crustaceans, which would be number 1, scuds, number 2, copepods, which would be like a small size scud, and then the number 3 that becomes important sometimes, like days like today, they're called daphnias, and so they are microorganisms but also in the crustacean family. So those 3 would be by far the main food source. But then you have some sand beaches and places in the Strobel. We've seen plenty of snails. Then you have some hatches that happen like midges, some caddisflies, especially case caddies, and then you have different beetles and terrestrial insects that are flown into the water. So I think that fish sometimes key on those. So those would be the main food sources, but I would say that by far the top 3 crustaceans, the 3 that I mentioned.
Now, are the crustaceans present throughout the lake, or how do the fish feed on them? So when they're eating scuds, how do they behave?
Yeah, so as we have been seeing today, fish cruise the shallows most times. We don't see them too deep, because I think that in general crustaceans need a structure to live, rocks. So if you turn around a rock, you will see plenty of either copepods or scuds, coming out of those rocks. And then daphnias, being microorganisms, they move into the water column up and down. So that's when you see those phenomena where you have big schools of fish in certain areas. Between the currents that Strobel has, plus temperature and pressure, the daphnias locate in different places and in different heights of the water, in the water column, and that's when you see the fish more like filter feeding, with an open mouth, just like a whale, filter feeding. But you see them sometimes keen on those microorganisms.
Yeah, interesting stuff. That's we were seeing fish the other day that were tailing in the shallows, and really interesting behavior for trout. And sometimes we're seeing fish out with their dorsal fins and their tail fins out of the water, moving slowly. And
yes.
What are they doing when we see them tailing like that?
Still a lot to learn about Strobel Lake, but our thoughts or estimation is that they are because of wind and currents pushing a lot of food into small bays and sand beaches, and so sometimes all of a sudden you see a lot of fish stuck together in one place, and I think that's because of food sources being available in large quantities, especially daphnias, because of their small size, they are pushed around, and scuds, they are more living in certain areas, with lots of structure, lots of rocks around. But daphnia, I think they are pushed easier with the wind and the currents. That if you check a Strobel, you will see that sometimes even there's no wind and you still see, for example, your fly moving in one direction. So it has currents even if there's no wind. So I think that pushes food sources to different locations, and that's how the fish, you see them sometimes cruising many fish into just one direction. So somehow they know where they have more food available. I think that most of those phenomena, we see them, they are in a way food related. That's our guess, and that's what we've seen over the 15 years we've been here.
And of course, we all love days that are calm and beautiful and windless like today, and we're catching fish today, but we don't really want too many days like this in a row, I would bet. The wind is an important vehicle for food here.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, the wind, totally. The wind is what makes, in a way, possible, for such amount of food available, So I think that, sometimes forecasting reasons, not so great, but, well, it's part of, that's what makes possible, in a way, such an interesting and unique fishery, in my opinion.
Let's talk about access a little bit. couple operations here, but Estancia Laguna Verde definitely seems to have the greatest amount of access here and the greatest number of options. But could you kind of summarize that for me a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, over the years, when we started, with my father and our partners, one of our major challenges was, in a way, to always keep developing new access to the lake, because we felt as anglers that we are passionate anglers, same as you, is that the more access you have, the more options, and so, for example, Strobel has many phases. So like days like today, for example, lots and lots of water to fish, so you can walk around many places, but still having option is great. So for example, windy days, you tend to rely more on bays, so having access to more than 10 bays in our estancia becomes key to offer all the guests a good experience, different type of options, different type of fishing techniques, etc. So I think that total we have more than 50 kilometers of internal roads, and that's something we can continue to develop over the years. We have just bought a bulldozer, and so we'll continue to do that, because the more we access new locations, the more we think, it would be awesome to have a road coming here and there, and also with the help of the guides and guests, they tell you, we fished this place today and it was great. So in a way, we think, we can get there through a road through here. So in many ways, that's how we did all the roads. It's just as we get to fish more and more locations, the more access in a way you need. So that's been probably our most important challenge and to do, and also at the same time I think it's a major asset for anglers coming here to have lots of options. River fishing, in over 10 kilometers of river, Strobel, between our estancia and the estancias we lease to the east and north, we have maybe a total of 30 kilometers of shoreline to access, and then we have 12 smaller lakes that also we have access roads to those. So in a way that provides an angler in a week fishing a total fishing experience. That's how we look at that.
Excellent. That's a great summary. Well, a giant trout just ate a dry fly right behind you, and I think it's your turn to go catch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, need to go fishing now.
Time to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.